Hi, Lillian here, health, fitness and wellness coach. Today's e-zine, I'm going to talk to you about sugar. As you may have seen in the press and heard on the news, there's a big thing going on about sugar and weight gain and obesity and health and illness, etc. So I thought I'd pay some attention to sugar. Now, a lot of us have sugar. There's sugar in everything. It's funny because about 2 years ago, I was told that I had a sugar addiction. I didn't think I had a sugar addiction. The person who told me was leading a course on food management, and we were talking about the fruit that we ate, the foods that we ate, and then she asked me, she says, "Oh, well, what do you like to eat, Lillian?" So I said, "Yeah, I like to have fruit throughout my day." Nothing wrong with that, I thought. Very healthy. And as well as the other bits of food that I was eating as well. Anyway, it turned out that I had a sugar addiction. It took me a while to accept that. I was in denial because I was ashamed that I had a sugar addiction. And once I came into accepting that, then it was the open door really for me to get over it. So I know there are many people out there who say, "Oh, I've got a sweet tooth." And I used to say I've got a sweet tooth, which in fact was disguised as a sugar addiction. And so I know there are many people out there who have a sweet tooth and need some help in this area. So I thought I'd talk about sugar today in today's e-zine. So a little bit about sugar. As you know, most of the sugar that we know, it comes in the white stuff, or honey, that's sugar as well. But sugar also comes in some other forms as well. But before I go on to that, just to let you know that sugar does create some nasty negative effects on us. And I've got a list here about the effects that it does give us, and effects that affected me and I didn't even realise. So sugar, for example, can give you the negative effects of mood swings, memory loss, numbness in the arms, the limbs, tingling in the arms, headaches, depression, skin rashes, brain fog, dizziness, and eye problems as well. This is because sugar has been highly processed to almost, it's high in calories, yes, but it's nutritionally deficient. We don't get any nutrients from sugar at all. And the different types of sugar that are available to us now in the highly processed form are like glucose fructose syrup, fructose, sucrose, high fructose corn syrup. You may have heard about this a lot in the press recently, which has been linked towards illnesses like cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes especially. Other forms of sugar come in the form of golden syrup, dextrose, maltose, maltodextrin, malt syrup, rice syrup, cane syrup, icing sugar. Do you recognise any of these words that I'm saying? Most probably some of them you don't, unless you actually read the ingredients on the stuff that you buy, that you'll be familiar with some of the forms of sugar that I've mentioned before. But let's not forget the artificial sweeteners as well, like aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose. These are literally poison to the body. So these are things that we need to look out for when we're buying products and in our ingredients. So the thing is, with sugar, it does affect the body negatively if we have too much of it. And what I mean is we have too much of it throughout our day, every day, from breakfast through to the time we go to bed. And the effect that it has is that it causes your insulin hormone to increase, that the body just releases a lot of it to try and balance out your blood sugar. And if the insulin is not able to do that, for whatever reason, mainly because your cells are not receptive to the insulin, then that causes your body to become what we call insulin resistant. Over time, this leads to diabetes, and nobody wants to have diabetes. Also, on top of that, when there's a huge surge of insulin hormone, it also causes your cortisol hormone to be released, which then creates a stress in your body and causes your body to start storing fat, especially around the middle. Again, This is why people have problems in losing weight, or especially shedding the fat around their tummies if they are eating hidden sugars. Now, people say, well, Lillian, actually, I don't eat that much sugar, really. I only have 1 teaspoon in my tea, if anything, or I've cut the sugar right back. But let's talk about sugar in hidden foods. Foods like mayonnaise, salad cream, tomato ketchup, brown sauce, other products like diet drinks, diet foods, soups even, processed soups, processed fruit drinks, fruit juices, alcohol has a lot of sugar in it, sports drinks, and let's not forget even crisps have, sugar in them as well. And, then there's the normal sugary foods like ice cream, biscuits, cakes, chocolate, etc. All right. But how do you know if you have a sugar addiction? What's the difference between sugar addiction and having a sweet tooth? Well, in my book, they're kind of the same thing. You're just disguising sugar addiction for saying that you've got a sweet tooth. So this is how you know you've got a sugar addiction. And this is how I disguised it as well. You have to have something to eat sweet, that is sweet, especially after a meal. Okay? The thought of you not having any sugar sends you into a panic, or you break out in a sweat. You'll also know if you have a sugar addiction if you often crave something sweet, especially around your monthlies. And you also know if you have a sugar addiction when you start to eat, say, chocolate, biscuits, or cake, and you can't stop at one piece. You have to finish the whole packet. That is a classic for knowing that you've got a sugar addiction, okay? Another sign is that you go through periods where you're not having anything sugary, but then you binge on sugary foods, okay? Or you binge on carbs. And another point is that after a hard day at work or a hard day, you just think, oh, you know what, I need to reward myself, so I'll have something sweet. That can be whether it's biscuits, chocolates, or alcohol, yeah? And also, classic sign that you have a sugar addiction is if you don't have access to anything sweet, that you will drive to the other side of town, or you'll go out of your way to get your sugar fix. Now, I know this from experience because I've done that myself. So these are signs that you have a sugar addiction. So how can you get out of a sugar addiction? Well, there are several steps which I've used myself and which I help my clients to do. So the first step that you could take is firstly to admit that you do have a sugar addiction. Yes, you're going to feel guilty, you might even feel ashamed. I did. But once you admit it to yourself, then you know that help is at hand. The second step that you can do is to list out all the regular foods that you eat and look for the hidden sugars. Look at how often you have sugar throughout your day. And that way you'll be able to track when you have sugar, why you need sugar as well, because often it's not out of true hunger. Most of the time it's out of emotional hunger, or it's triggered by something emotional, whether you have been upset or stressed, or you just feel like rewarding yourself, and that just triggers off a need to have some sugar. And then once you get to grips with listing out the foods that you've eaten with sugar in them, just tackle them one at a time. You might find that you eat a lot of sugar at the beginning of your day, or at the end of your day, or in the middle of your day. Tackle which area you're going to handle first. Don't cut out sugar throughout the whole day completely. That's going to just stress you out and cause you to feel overwhelmed. So just tackle one thing at a time. So for yourself, it might be, okay, you're going to tackle the area of breakfast. Maybe you have a lot of sugar there. Try and cut down on the sugar, or eliminate it, or replace it with good sugars. Now, there are some good sugars, alkaline sugars, such as coconut palm sugar, pure date syrup, maple syrup, or raw honey. Now, these are still sugar, and they still have an effect on your insulin hormone, but not as harsh as the white sugar does. Okay, but you still need to use it sparingly. And also, as I mentioned before, look out for the triggers, things that trigger you to want to have something sweet, and build in safeguards against those triggers. So if it's stress related or emotion related, instead of turning to food or turning to sugar to satisfy you, start to think, well, how can I solve this issue, this stress issue, this emotional issue, without me having to turn to sugar to comfort me? And the last point is, do your own research on how sugar affects you, and find out ways of how you can overcome that sugar addiction as well. And if you're serious about coming off sugar, make the decision not to have it in your home. You know, when it's there at home, or if it's in your office, in the drawers, and you're tempted, you know it's there. You're tempted to have that sugar when something triggers it off. Choose to eliminate it. Get it out your house, get it out your office, get it out your car even. And that way you'll be much, much safer and more in control. So those are the points that I want to share about sugar. Try any of the points that I've mentioned before on how to overcome your sugar addiction. Obviously, it takes a lot more than the pointers that I've mentioned before. You might need some coaching, some external help to help you get over that. But yeah, give it a go, give it a try, and let me know how you get on.